That's all. That's all. Sit down. Honorable Minister, please start. Please start. Please start. Please start. No more, no more. Please start. Start. I already said it is the last one.
Sir,
Yeah.
I am very,
No, you could have told me
Thank you.
early. Sit down. No doubt.
as well as all
You could have
the
told me early. Sit down.
honorable
Minister,
members
please.
for
You could have told
participating
me
in
early.
this
Sit down. Sit down.
very interesting debate.
No, not allowed. Nobody else is allowed.
The railway budget for 2016.
Nobody else is allowed. I was in the chair. You could have informed me. No, this way. You spoke. You sit down. No, I'm not allowing. I'm not allowing. I'm not allowing. I was in the chair. You could have given me cheat to ask me so far. No, this. See, I am not allowing. Not going on record. Mr. Minister, you proceed. This way we cannot function. There should be some order. You could have asked me early. You listen to some question, then you think of a question and asking. That is not how parliament should function. If you have a question, you should inform. All those who asked me early, I allowed. Yes, please, Mr.
Sir,
Minister.
I thank you as well as all the honorable members for participating in this very interesting discussion. And as you could see, everybody almost is supporting the idea that railway must do better. And I really thank all the members of the parliament, this house, for participating in this debate and also supporting this idea of railways. As I know, as we can all know, the railway is a very important institution, and we all agree that railway is passing through very difficult times. The debate which was initiated by Mr. Ahmed Patel, he said railway बीमार है. वो तो जरूर है, सही बात है. बीमार तो है, बीमारी का इलाज ढूंढना पड़ेगा और बीमारी के साथ साथ लड़ना भी पड़ेगा. और रेलवे को फिर एक बार पटरी पर लाकर दोबारा रेल के माध्यम से देश का विकास किस तरह से हो उसके ऊपर भी सोचना होगा. और इसलिए ये बजट में हमने पूरी मात्रा में यही ध्यान में रखते हुए एक बजट बनाया है. सर, यू विल अप्रिशिएट दैट रेलवेज बिगेस्ट चैलेंज इज दैट वी डू नॉट हैव इनफ रिसोर्सेज. As the LOP just pointed out, the demands are so many and the availability of resources are so limited. And that's a major problem. At the same time, the railway network has been aging for a long time. It is suffering for lack of investment, and therefore we have to find out the money to make that investment. I agree, and you have appealed to all the House that we should get more resources from the general budget. If that happens, I will be the happiest person, and I would really feel that if that is what is going to come in, we like to invest that money into modernizing of infrastructure. But while that is necessary to get it, the finance minister has own compulsions, the fiscal deficit has to be kept in mind, and many other issues. But while that is happening, we did not keep that issue to come in the way of modernizing, upgrading the network of the railway. So we said we'll find out the resources and we'll make that investment. So this year's strategy is essentially targeting at how to revive railways, how to make sure that whatever has been the shortcomings of the railways operation, how do we remove them? And to do that, it's not going to happen in a hurry. So last time when I presented the budget, I gave a 5-year vision. I said at least 5 years we need to make sure that we continue on the regime. You go to a doctor, and we agreed that railway is ailing. You go to a doctor will tell you, first follow regime. You don't expect from me miracles because I am a doctor, not a miracle man. And therefore, if you are coming to a doctor and asking for a medicine, you also must follow regime. So regime means that we must make sure that certain do's and don'ts have to be followed. So last budget, we started talking about it. We did not deliberately announce any new project. We said we'll complete the existing ones. We'll make sure that we'll invest money into doubling and tripling of capacity. We'll invest money into signaling. We'll invest money into modernization, which in turn will bring in the shortest possible time, the good benefit. As Mr. Praful Patel said, the low-hanging fruits. So we really started working on all of this, and this budget, in fact, is a continuation of that. So budget is an annual exercise, but has a little 5-year medium-term vision. So immediate issues, medium-term issues, as well as this time, first time, we have talked about, and I appeal to all the members of the parliament to participate in this, is to create a railways all India plan for 2030. We have never done that before. So whatever happened is, if I make a demand as a member of parliament, if I have a lobby, I get a particular line sanctioned, but not necessarily that particular line is falling into a big picture that the railway needs. We talked about port connectivity. We have done that in an isolated basis, but but we really need a proper vision for the railway. So we have decided to do this. We'll start it this year. We'll consult all the stakeholders, including states, members of parliament, MLAs, and all others, to make sure that we prepare a proper long-term perspective plan, not just perspective plan like 2020, which is a good one, but this is really a physical target planning that we'll be doing it. And once that is done, we'll have three things. One, yearly plan, that's the budget. A little medium term, that's 5 years. And this is long term, that is 2030. So we are really decided to do that, and we are working on it. I know it is sometimes very difficult that there are so many demands and we cannot fulfill them. So I also feel bad. I wish I had all the resources that all the demands could be made. And that would have been the happiest person, but unfortunately I am not in that position. So we are trying to manage it in a limited way and try to do that. So when we talk about short term, medium term, long term, also the priorities. The short term priorities were how to bring in a quick benefit to the passengers who travel by railway. So we focused on 4 or 5 things. One was cleanliness. I am happy to say, I know it is not a dramatic change, but cleanliness has improved substantially in most part of the railway station. It has also improved inside the coaches, and we started a new program, SMS. You SMS it and you tell him, clean my coach. In fact, this has now been rolled out all India basis, which I announced in my budget only on 3 days back. So we have already started the implementation process of that. The budget was presented on 25th of February. In 4 or 5 days, all the programs that are, all the announcements that are made here have been made into actionable points. We are assigned responsibilities, and we'll make sure that we actually implement this complete budget fully. So this is a overall strategy, overall vision. In that context, I must say, this was the most difficult year for the railways. Probably the most difficult. The freight movement was low. There were challenging times. There was a pay commission. And whenever the pay commission has come, the operating ratio of railway dropped dramatically. It has gone down. So this is the first budget after the pay commission. In fact, there are 2 elements. The pay commission came into play from 1st of Jan this year. So I have included in this budget also the first 3 months as well as a provision for the remaining 12 months. And despite that, we are able to keep the operating ratio at a reasonable level. But this was a challenge because on income side we had a problem, and I will come to it a little later. But also we had a big problem in terms of pay commission as well as bonus act. This house accepted a bonus act. We amended it. We removed the minimum ceiling. Who is the biggest employer in India? Railways. So railways have to bear the brunt. Of course, we are not complaining, but that is the cause for railways expenditure going up considerably, and despite that, we have managed it. I will just tell you, in terms of shortfall of revenue, some members have talked about it. This year, coal loading was likely to be 30 million ton, with 2/3 of the shortfall coming from imported coal. We dropped the imported coal, so we have been suffering. Cement is likely to be low by 15 million tons. Iron ore is also going to be less by 9 million tons. The depressed steel market, as well as internationally, has contributed to it. Decentralized procurement of food grains, very good measure, but has affected the railways in the short term. And therefore, many of these things, which are including the import and export downward caused by the global slowdown, have affected railways' capacity to get revenue. But still, we managed it by reducing expenditure. I will explain to you in a minute. Sir, the present budget focuses on long-term sustainability of railways by capacity augmentation, new sources of revenue, and cost of operation optimization. This year, the budget is 1.21 lakhs, which is 21% higher than the expected planned expenditure of the previous year. And this is also, this year, 2015-16, and I'm sure all of you will be happy to know that will surpass the target of commissioning 2,500 kilometers of broad gauge line. This was, and 2016-17, we'll actually have at least 2,800 kilometers of broad gauge track. 90 new projects involving total investment of 1,26,170 crore, covering about 8,432 kilometers, doubling gauge conversion and metropolitan transport projects are included in this budget. Railway electrification, 1,600 kilometers was commissioned in 15-16, and 16-17, we intend to electrify 2,000 kilometers. All these numbers are one of the record numbers, despite the fact that we had several challenges on the revenue front. On capital expenditure, we have done that. We still manage the revenues by way of reducing the cost. But as a long-term strategy for the railways, we must move on to not depending only on this traditional source of revenue, either from freight or from fare. We need to find out non-railway revenues, which globally, even in some cases like Japan, it is as high as 30%. And in our case, it is very, very meager. So we must increase that. So we are now decided to work on increasing non-source revenue. This is for the first time on this magnitude by expanding the freight basket. So this, of course, this is not non-source, but this is a new source of revenue. Expanding the freight basket, because today we are dependent only on few commodities. When there is a downturn like it had this year, then we suffer. So we must expand the basket. We must get in roll-on and roll-off, pilot timetable freight trains, multiple point loading. We must big push for expanding containerization, which we are not really been able to do. Building terminal capacity to handle increased conventional and new traffic. Original passengers will have to increase. We are trying to increase it by way of new products, new train products which are launched. Non-fare revenues is by way of revamping parcel business, advertising, monetizing data, software and other assets. This is something which we have never done before. And not that many railways have done it, because no other railway has got 7 billion passengers traveling every year. But 7 billion passengers create so much of data. As you can see, the top companies of the world like Google make money by monetizing data. So just imagine the data available with us is phenomenal. If we can monetize it properly, the amount of money that we can generate from it will be really huge. And therefore, this is something which we don't have the domain knowledge, but we are working with us. I also suggested it to some of the experts, and we'll try to use that. Manufacture, and you wanted to know that, the production unit workshop, and we like to now allow them to also export, make them export-oriented, some of our own PSUs, and scrap disposal, which is one of the major problems, not really making good money. This year the target is to increase it by 50%. Cost optimization. Sir, this is very important, because normally you want to work only on increasing revenue, forgetting the fact that there is the other side to the profit loss account, and that's the expenditure side. So we decided to optimize it. In fact, this year itself, due to optimization, we could balance we should keep the operating ratio at a low level. Targeted decrease of 1,500 crores of expenditure from 15-16, exploring revamp of procurement policy by buying directly from overseas, that's for the diesel, rigorous consumption monitoring to optimize usage and reduce pilferage, annualized saving, you talked about power sector, 3,000 crores to be achieved by end of this year, a year before commitment. 3,000 crores, not a small amount, which was reduced by way of doing direct purchase of power in the market, by bringing in now new elements of changing the energy profile, by making sure that we'll have energy conservation measures as well as energy audits. And we target to save additional 300 crores through energy conservation. Other measures are also austerity measures. So, sir, this was one of the strategy, and I'm sure we are trying to work on it. But what is important is, some members have known it. I don't want to make it a political statement, but just because many members have asked it, I wanted to tell you that when we have a capital expenditure, you have to incur. When you are suffering, if there is a hemorrhage going on, and this is why we talked about a patient, you cannot find out whether I should borrow, steal or beg, but I must do that operation immediately. So if the railway was suffering, I agree with you and will pursue with getting more gross budgetary support. But we said at least we should try to increase the capital expenditure to make sure that all the challenges that we talked about are addressed immediately. So, and this will again have benefit to the economy, because every rupee invested in railways will have a multiplier effect of 5. So this is again going to be beneficial. So option were getting it from GBS, which of course I'm more than happy to pursue. Fiscal deficit of Government of India is to be kept in mind. But we said that we'll really try to do it, because why? And that's the reason why I'm telling why we must invest first. Some members have talked about China. Sir, China is one of the great railway systems. Just now, one honorable member was talking about China. Sir, Chinese have invested into railways, which is a mind-boggling number. But just to tell you, in last 2009, they put more than 2% into the GDP, whereas our share was 0.04%. So just imagine, the Chinese economy is the second largest in the world. It is now $10 trillion economy. We are 1/5 of them, $2 trillion. And that $10 trillion, they are going to put more than 2%, and we are going to put it of smaller economy of $2 trillion, less than 0.5%. Can you ever compete and talk about China? So investing is important. Finding out resources for that is something which we had to find out, and therefore we decided to work on it. I know that this idea of investing from whatever source is not my alone. I know in April 2014, when one of our distinguished member of this House, the former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, was PM, he prepared a report, and one of the major recommendations was to increase the level of debt to finance railway projects. That is the recommendation which was made by Dr. Manmohan Singh. He asked somebody to prepare a committee. The committee recommended that Indian Railways Finance Corporation should not confine itself to financing of rolling stock alone, but also finance other projects such as electrification, signaling and new lines, etc. The committee had also recommended that other railway entities like DFIC, etc. should also go and borrow foreign loans. So this was the recommendation. So this is something which is not ideological issue. This is something which is in the interest of the railways. That's why Dr. Manmohan Singh, when he was a Prime Minister, suggested it. We are also continuing with this, not because it is political issue, but to ensure that railways will not suffer because of this. The other issue that came up, and some of the members, including my good friend Mr. Sen, has talked about PPP. The PPP in railways is again an old idea. In fact, the government approved the guidelines for formulation and appraisal of this PPP way back in 2006. And therefore, we are continuing with this. Of course, I would personally feel that we have to learn from it, unlearn from it. Certain things PPP have helped, certain things we have failed. So we must unlearn from failures, but learn from the right, successful strategy. And that is why we are therefore trying to find out the success stories and try to do it recently. There was a committee which was appointed by the Government of India, which is Dr. Vijay Kelkar Committee, which had talked about PPP 02. That is the next generation PPP. I think there are some very good ideas in that. I think we should try to learn from it. I think one day, if Chair permits, we should also have a debate on this to discuss about why we need PPPs, not just for railways, but for infrastructure creation, because anywhere in the world, creating infrastructure would need resources outside of their normal revenue streams. It is never possible that normal revenue stream can finance the future requirement of infrastructure. And not financing it today means you are compromising with tomorrow. And therefore, investing is necessary. Investing money, if it is not available from normal resources, you have to borrow. And that's what Dr. Manmohan Singh also suggested that time. And not he personally, but as a committee. So therefore, we are trying to borrow it. Now, we must have prudential one. I'll come to it later. And there is to be this particular idea. Again, I'll just try to tell you. There is this International Capital Market Association. This is a global body. They went through this whole issue because this is not the issue only for India. This is for globally. People are trying to find out where to raise resources. They have also made a recommendation that infrastructure financing has to come out of debt. So I hope the House will agree that this is what we need to do in the national interest, and this is how we are trying to pursue it. Now, when we do it, this is something very interesting to know, that debt has to be financed, then prudential issues will come. How much debt? I will just give an example. German Railways had a debt of, on a revenue of 39 billion, $16 billion of debt. Chinese Railways, before it was corporatized in 2013, had a debt of US dollars 422 billion. That is almost 25% of our own GDP today, 428 billion. So what China has been able to do, you know why they are able to do it. So you must keep that in mind. Japan Railway East has a total asset of $72 billion and a debt of $32 billion. Our debt servicing is 7.9% of the gross traffic receipt as of March 2016. So I would like to assure that we are investing, first of all, not for anything else, but for capital expenditure. We are investing in future, we are investing in modernization, and that too at a very prudential level, at a very small level. For the year 2014-15, our total liabilities towards loan was 85,000 crores, and the total investment are 4,97,233 crores, which implies a ratio of 17.25%. So only that much amount of debt, but if that is not taken, and I will be very happy if my good friend, my good colleague can give us more.
Debt is all right because it don't dilute the ownership.
Now I'll just give you something very interestingly. The liabilities as a percent of total asset in case of Germany, which is 31.53%. In France, 55.91%. In Italy, 19%. Russia, of course, all these people. In Spain, it is 51%. And for us, it's a very small amount, which I just explained. So please be assured that we are working on something which is in the interest of the railways, interest of tomorrow, interest of all of us, because we need all the demands which are coming, that we want lines in my constituency here and there, that we need money. And the money cannot be found, if not from the normal sources, from something for a capital expenditure in this particular way. So I think this is something which we really need to do. PPP is again an idea which has not been only done by the government of India, but by various states, including some of the good states like West Bengal and Kerala. They have been also pursuing the very rigorously the idea of bringing in the PPP. Kerala has got 11 projects of 10,000 crores for PPP. For West Bengal, 13 projects for 14,000 crores. So I think we also must learn from Kerala and West Bengal some of these good ideas as well. So therefore, this is something which is really happening.
Yeah,
and I would like to say,
two states where your party is there, why are you worried?
this year,
Okay.
I'm appreciating this. So,
That's
sir,
what I'm saying.
this year
Taman
capex
should
is,
also be happy.
sir, this year capex is 1,21,000 crore, which is the highest ever, 21% more than the previous year, which will be funded like this. The GBS is 34,000 crores, capital fund 7,000, depreciation reserve fund another 7,160 crores, development fund 2,515 crores, safety fund 10,780 crores, extra budget resources 59,325 crores. So it is properly funded, properly thought about, it is properly financially closed. So therefore, the resources necessary for this as well as why it is going in is properly understood. Sir, operating ratio, which I mentioned a little earlier, has now become, this year target is 90 and next year 92. Sir, this is the impact of pay commission. We have always seen that it has deteriorated in a big way. One of my colleagues from the Congress party was talking about that in 64, the operating ratio was good. But a lot of water has flown from 1964 till today. I wish we can get everything of 60s, but the infrastructure of 21st century will be a little difficult. So I think if you want to compare 64, you must compare everything along with that. And we had an infrastructure of a different kind, this time different thing. So, of course, we must target for it, and that is the whole strategy. How to revive the railways financing. To revise financing, we need to get more resources. More resources have to come, we have to make investment. We have to make investment, then we must make sure that we follow it like this. So, sir, this year, I am very happy to say that a saving of expenditure, and that is what will make many of you happy, was 9,073 crores. So when we dropped the freight, we did not get enough revenue. How we controlled it is by reducing expenditure of 9,073 crores, which is very, very high number. We all appreciate. So this is why we could manage to do that. Also, the strategy is to reduce another 1,930 crores for diesel by directly importing and booking refinery capacity in the existing refining. I already had a talk with my colleague, Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan, and we'll definitely make that. We'll also reduce 287 crores by reducing idle locomotives and many other measures. I don't want to take time. But a strategy is not just to increase the expenditure, capital expenditure, reduce the revenue expenditure. And this is what we are trying to work on. So depreciation, and some members wanted to know. So I'm happy to say that depreciation is now, we have provided for it as it is required. Why do we require depreciation? Is to take care of track renewals as well as for other maintenance. Sir, the track renewal has come down, accumulated track renewal, has come down from 7,258 kilometers to 5,300 kilometers. So we have brought it down. Obviously, we don't need that much money. This also, overage wagons, which you are also mentioning upgradation, have come down from 14,649 to 6,177. That means there is an improvement in asset quality, increase in life cycle. Therefore, we didn't have to maintain money. Also, the bio-toilets will actually prevent corrosion of tracks, therefore lowering maintenance expenditure. So therefore, the expenditure this time is 7,000 crore, and in line with all the great previous ministers, where the amount has not been significantly less. So we are really trying to do it like this. We again be assured that this will be done in a proper manner. Sir, this is the House of States. I am very lucky to be member of such a distinguished house. So just permit me to address some of the questions raised by some of the states about how much my state is getting. Sir, Andhra Pradesh had 1,024 crores in 13-14. Last year it was 2,659 crore. This time it is 2,823 crores. Assam and Northeast, 2,330 crores in 13-14. Last year was 5,368 crores. This thousand again 5,340 crores. Bihar and my JDU members were saying about Bihar को नहीं मिला, तो आप जरा आप ही सोचिए क्या मिला क्या नहीं मिला. बिहार को 13-14 में 1244.8 करोड़ मिला था. ये साल पिछले साल 2014 4,089 करोड़ और इस साल 3,171 करोड़. And I am not calculating lot of other PPP projects which are coming to Bihar. Also Gujarat got more, but you will say it is because I am not reading the number. Haryana got more. Himachal Pradesh, it was 56 crores in 13-14. Last year it was 255 crores and this year it is 310 crores. So it has gone up significantly. Jammu and Kashmir, my great friend as well as honorable leader of opposition, was 1,044 crores in 13-14. Last year was 1,643 crores. This year it is 2,061.8 crores. Also Jharkhand, it has gone up from 652 crores to 2,235 crores. Karnataka, 900 crores to 2,779 crores. Of course, I cannot ignore Kerala because we have such a great deputy speaker who chairs the session. So we have brought it up from 265 crores to 1,098 crores last year and 1,041 crores in this year.
Thank you.
Madhya Pradesh also got more. Odisha, and I know they have talked about. This is why it's not because of any reason. I don't belong to Odisha, but Odisha, Jharkhand, these are the states which have the great capacity to bring in more revenue to the railways because they have the mineral deposits. If we can evacuate them, we'll really bring it out in a very significant way. Rajasthan, and I just gave that number, Tamil Nadu was 922 crores in 13-14. Last year was 2,042 crores. This year it is 2,064 crores. So we are trying to work on that. Telangana obviously was not there in 2000 that year, but this year again, for last 3 years we have consistently increased the Telangana share, though Telangana was not created. So therefore the figure of Andhra Pradesh may include that. Uttar Pradesh, and my good friends are not here, but 1,034, I know, sorry. No, sorry. You are there of course. But
There.
UP, and you will be happy, UP was 1,034 crores in the year 2013-14. In 15-16, we increased it to 4,516 crores. From 1,000 crore to 4,536 crore last year. And this year, it is 4,923 crores. Now you can yourself say whether it is good or bad. Uttarakhand has increased from 240 crores to 458 crores, and my good friend West Bengal has increased from 1,604 crores in 13-14 to 3,793 crores last year. And this year it is 3,820 crores.
Quantum jump.
Please. So what I'm saying is, try to understand the amount of resources. In fact, if you go by percentage, Chhattisgarh got 275% more. The Odisha got 292% more, and things like this. So I would like to say that we have Madhya Pradesh, of course. Madhya Pradesh wanted to know. It was Madhya Pradesh was 748 crores, went to 3,561 crores last year, and this year it is 4,325 crores. So implementation is something which people talk about.
Everybody share his
People
English.
wanted to know, but it's all right. But what about the implementation? So, sir, I want to tell you that 2015-16 is the first budget in which I have given an action taken report. I said I must take the commitment. Whatever was mentioned in the previous budget, in this budget speech, there is an annexure which is attached which says action taken report. So therefore it is not something, and 139 points on which we have initiated action. I will do it every year, and I'm sure you will like me to be railway minister for many, many more years, so we'll get many more years the same information. And therefore we'll make sure that broad gauge line this year, the rate was 7 kilometers per day against an average of 4.3 kilometers per day in the last 6 years. So last 6 years average for 4.3, we made it into, already increased it to 7 kilometers, and this year, 17-18 will be 13 kilometers and 19 kilometers per day in 18-19, while providing employment to 9 crore man days and 14 crore man days respectively. I want to ask you, and that is why some people ask me, but spending of money, how does it happen? Sir, I want to tell you only one example. One of the general manager has reported that tenders above rupees 75 crores are now getting finalized in 83 days as opposed to 500 days earlier due to delegation of power. Sir, all powers of the ministers have been delegated to the general manager. I have not seen a single rupee tender since I become the minister. And the whole idea is that we should empower the people at the level of zones, and therefore they should try to do it. We are also working on rigorous monitoring, e-Samiksha, which makes sure that all the budget announcements are monitored. 7 missions have been constituted. I will, because it is mentioned in my budget speech, I don't want to repeat again. But the whole idea is that we have actually increased the speed of implementation. Expenditure is something which some members wanted to know. I will just tell you that it was, in case of UPA, one, it was 7,386 crores in 5-year period, which average per year was 1,477, went to 1,520 in the next 5 years. We have taken it in the first 2 years itself to 2,292 crores per year. So you can imagine the speed at which we are trying to work on it, and therefore we make sure that we implement whatever we have promised. So what is there for the common man? In fact, there is only for the common man. This budget is आम आदमी के लिए ही है, और इसीलिए ये बजट में अंत्योदय एक्सप्रेस है, 2 से 4 दीनदयालु कोचेस है, सेल ऑफ टिकट्स थ्रू हैंडल्स है, टिकट वेंडिंग मशीन है, कैंसिलेशन 139 हेल्पलाइन से कैंसिलेशन होगा. अभी कैंसिलेशन के लिए दोबारा जहां जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, जो लोगों को बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत होती थी. एक टाइम पासवर्ड दिया जाएगा. बार कोडेड टिकट स्कैनर्स एंड एक्सेस कंट्रोल ऑन अ पायलट बेसिस, उसकी भी शुरुआत मैंने पिछले 4-5 दिन में बजट के बाद ही कर दी है. विकल्प की सेवा चालू की जाएगी. सीसीटीवी कवरेज तत्काल एरिया में लगाएंगे ताकि लोग जो पैसा बनाते हैं, दलाल जो घूमते हैं, उनके ऊपर भी थोड़ी पाबंदी आ जाएगी. IRCTC केटरिंग में मैनेज करेगी, इसीलिए जो आज केटरिंग की क्वालिटी है उसमें भी जरूर हमको सुधार मिलेगा. उसी तरह से नई पॉलिसी हमने बनाई है कि जो हर स्टॉल होगा वो मल्टीपल प्रोडक्ट बेचेगा, इंक्लूडिंग मिल्क प्रोडक्ट्स, OTC मेडिसिन. तो लोगों को कोई बीमारी है, कोई जरूरत है दवा की, तो वहीं पे उनको मिल जाएगी. हमने कुल्हड़ में, यदि कोई चाहते हैं कि कुल्हड़ में उनको चाय पीना है, तो भी हम उनको जरूर उनको देंगे. इसी तरह से हमारे महिलाओं के लिए भी हमने काफ़ी सेवाएं शुरू की है. जैसे कि मैं जानता हूं कि हमारी बहुत महिलाएं यहाँ से सफ़र करती है, और उनके लिए वुमेन सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप को सप्लाई फूड करने के लिए हमने शुरुआत की है. बेबी फूड, हॉट मिल्क एंड हॉट वाटर टू बी मेड अवेलेबल एट स्टेशन. वी ऑल्सो मेक श्योर दैट सब कोटा फॉर वुमेन इन अलॉटमेंट ऑफ स्टॉल्स, extension of Sarthi Seva, and also pick up and drop of wheelchair services, Rail Mitra Seva is being launched. So Divyang ke liye bhi there are measures. So this is something which is not just for anything else. The budget is only for the common people. Some of my members from my BSP and others wanted to know that what is the situation about recruitment of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. In 2008, there were 8,146 SC/ST backlog. Now we have brought down the backlog by filling 8,110 vacancies, and now the filling up is 99.55% of the vacancies for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. So this is something which is already taken into account. The speed, which is one of the very important issue, and for the speed, we have already created a separate mission to improve the speed. New rolling stock, which can run at 200 kilometers per hour, is being produced and will be available soon. Operation audit being conducted for Ghaziabad Mughal Sarai section, which is one of the most congested section in the country. Tejas, the new product that we have decided to launch, will showcase the future of train travel and will travel at 130 kilometers plus. The safety, which is one of the other issue which you also ask about, and therefore we have created a separate mission for safety, under which elimination of all unmanned level crossing, the principal cause of the accident, and train collision avoidance system will be taken up on a mission mode. Anti-fouling measures also are undertaken. Web-enabled monitoring instrument will be installed in 100 numbers for bridge monitoring, because you can see the action. One of the reasons why there are accidents is also the bridges. I will just take few minutes to talk about Northeast. We connected Itanagar. Meghalaya saw its first broad gauge line this year. Yes. Then mega gauge conversion project, that is Rangia Murkong Sak of 500 kilometers has been completed. So this will bring in entire north bank of Brahmaputra on broad gauge. Lumding Silchar gauge line, bringing in Barak Valley for the first time, and I actually launched the first train as well. Agartala, the capital of Tripura, has been brought under broad gauge, and international connectivity project connecting Agartala to Akhora will be fast track. So you can see that Northeast again is receiving priority, and Jammu Kashmir. And how can we forget it? The Honorable Leader of Opposition comes from there, as well as the great Minister of State, my good friend, as well as one of the most important states for us. And Prime Minister has been going and talking about Jammu and Kashmir as the top priority. Udhampur, Srinagar, Baramulla rail line continues to remain a priority. 36 kilometers of tunneling out of 95 kilometers will be completed by 16-17. So you wanted to know the speed, we are really working on it. I will also, of course, you have talked about many other issues on Jammu and Kashmir, as well as you have mentioned it. I can promise you I don't want to talk about individual questions that were raised, but we will definitely deal with all, including what other members have talked about. Sir, this time, we have taken a very different type of a route to bring in faster development of railways. This is by making joint venture with the states. I talked about it last time. 16 states had agreed. Orissa is one of the states which actually signed it. This is not a SPV. It's a joint venture, wherein the ownership will be also shared with the state government. They will be the partners, not just participants. And therefore, they will make sure that this will also enhance the ability of the railways to implement project faster. This will also increase the bandwidth of the railway to manage the network. So this again has been included in the Pink Book, which will again bring in more resources to the railways, as well as try to bring in more benefit. Sir, some members talk about bullet train, and some appreciated it, some said why it is necessary. So I want to clarify. The bullet train is a project which is completely self-financing. The entire money for that is coming from the government of Japan at a rate which is 0.1%, which nobody will believe, and those who know finance will say it is free. Because in 50 years you have to repay. First 15 years you don't have to service, and this is a debt taken from the government of Japan by the government of India. So it is not from private company or anything like this. Again, this is something which, if we do it, the type of new technology that will come into India will help us to increase the speed of our existing network also. This is not something which is only one project will benefit. This obviously will benefit, but the whole spin-off benefit will be going and permeating through the whole network of the railway. In fact, the Honorable Chief Minister of UP, he has said that you want another bullet train. So that is what the Chief Minister had talked about, and he said he will give free land for it. So therefore, we will be more than happy. Let us first learn from this project. We already formed a company, but we will be more than happy to work with other states as we go along. But this is something which we want to do it. And for some things that we talked about, there is a fixation of tariff, including Mr. Ram Gopal Yadavji, Naresh Agarwalji and others said that you must increase the fare. In fact, the other house also some members said that. I think many may say increase it, some may say don't do it. It's always a dilemma. So therefore, we are trying to create an independent regulatory network, framework, which will make sure that railways don't suffer, but passengers don't pay too much. So it will be a proper balance between public interest as well as railways interest. And to make that, we'll do it. I am sure when we bring the bill soon, and as you have done in these days, you'll support this bill so that we can pass it, maybe without even discussion if you allow it. So that forming a cross-sectoral directorate is something which we are trying to do it. We are also trying to create a separate organization for special railway establishment for strategic technology and holistic advancement. Because R&D, we have never been so good. So therefore, the point you are saying, why we have to get GE and others? Because our domestic technology never developed. We want to make sure that while we get this, our domestic technology base also increases. Therefore, we are doing this. Also creating special unit for transportation research and analytics, because our share of trade is falling. We must find out ways of getting it, and therefore, unless somebody is thinking strategically, it will not happen. Employees are one of the most important pillars of this organization. I must say that without the support, the commitment, the dedication, and their constant endeavor to improve better, the railways would not be running like this. So therefore, I must put on record the great contribution of all the 13 lakh plus employees of the railways, and therefore we are working on it. I will not take too much time. We are working on a central information technology ERP place, which will bring in complete model of the railways on one common platform. Transparency is something which is now one of the major thrust area for us. Sale of scrap is 100% computerized. More or less all the contracts will be on e-tendering platform soon. Many have already gone in. We already started the recruitment online. New transfer policy also has been issued, and this will also be available to others. So many things which allowed the manipulation have been taken care of. I know there are so many members who have talked about it. If you permit me, sir, I will not answer each one of them because this will take a lot of time. But I will only say
Then
that most of the points I have covered
In
anyway.
that case, you can write to them.
Yes, sir.
Eh?
Yes, sir.
For each member, you can write to them.
But I must compliment each one of them. Some of the ideas pertain to their constituencies, which we'll try to take forward. In some of the states, there is already election announced, including Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Assam. So we will not be able to say anything about it right now. And one point about Mumbai, which my good friend Sanjay Raut had raised, and this was raised by others, that suburban railway needs a complete overhaul. I have 100% agree. At the same time, it is also necessary that many committees have said that suburban railway should be responsible of the local state government. So we have decided to make a joint venture with state governments and we'll make sure that we develop the network. In Mumbai, we are trying to create an elevated network. And Mr. Sanjay Raut suggested, why not across the coast? It's a good idea. I don't know whether, but we'll definitely look into such ideas. Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Delhi, Hyderabad, all these cities need a lot of it. In fact, Kolkata, you must have seen this year, the work which was suffering for years, I have started it, provided the money for it, and in fact, the metro of, not metro, but the underground of Kolkata is progressing also, and we'll try to make sure that it progresses better. I appeal to all of you that we'll work together as partners, as stakeholders, and try to get all your suggestions in a positive way. You also please try to understand the limitation of the railway minister, like you gave a very good example, ek anar, sau bimar. So I think, I wish there can be more anars, so we must increase more connectivity, so Kashmir will be more anar, so that anar will be available for others also. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Yes. Yes. I wish the minister all the best. You are a no-nonsense minister. We appreciate it. So wish you all best. Now, I shall first put the motion regarding consideration of the appropriation railways vote on account bill 2016 to vote. The question is that appropriation railways vote on account bill 2016 as passed by Lok Sabha be taken into consideration. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have, the motion is adopted. We shall now take up clause by clause consideration of the bill. Clauses 2, 3 and the scheduled stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have, it. Clauses 2, 3 and schedule are adopted. Clause 1, the enacting formula and the title stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have, it. Clause 1, the enacting formula and the title are adopted. Now, Sri Suresh Prabhu to move that the bill be returned.
Should I move that the bill be returned?
Motion moved that the bill be returned. The question is that the bill be returned. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have, the bill is returned. I shall now put the motion regarding consideration of the appropriate registration bill 2016 to vote. The question is that the appropriation railways bill 2016 as passed by Lok Sabha be taken into consideration. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have, it. Motion is adopted. We shall now take up clause by clause consideration of the bill. Clauses 2 and 3 and schedule stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have, it. Clauses 2, 3 and schedule are adopted. Clause 1, the enacting formula and the title stand part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have, it. Clause 1, the enacting formula and the title are adopted. Sri Suresh Prabhu to move that the bill be returned.
Sir, I beg to move that the bill be returned.
Motion moved that the bill be returned. The question is that the bill be returned. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have, it. The bill is returned.
Permit me, sir. In Lok Sabha, we had put, I beg to lay a statement regarding corrigendum addendum to the railway budget documents relating to railway budget 2016-17 with demands for Grand Railways Part 1 and works, machinery and rolling stock program of railways Part 2, A and B on the table of the House.
Okay, permitted. Now, message from the Lok Sabha Secretary General.